You're watching the India Development Debate with me, Tamanna Inamdar, and we are speaking on day one of the 21-day lockdown, which was announced just about 24 hours ago. So what's happened on day one? When very quickly we've realized that the lockdown will have to be tempered in its implementation. That means police forces across the country that are on the streets to implement the lockdown and make sure that people are not out on the streets for no rhyme or reason will have to stop harassing and in some case beating up those who are there for a purpose. We've seen the impact of it. We've seen lines of trucks stuck at borders of cities, unable to get to the stores. In the stores, the few that are open have seen huge queues outside, kind of defeating the purpose of social distancing in the first place, because people are in a state of panic. They don't know if the supplies will come. Well, the supplies are there. We have enough. The question is, how does it get to the neighborhood store or the PDS system or the ration shop which is required to be restocked and refilled? How is that going to happen? Well, if you think this is only about the small kirana stores, it's not. Big companies, big names like HUL today have said that they need assurances to be able to keep up their manufacturing. Nestle has said the same thing. Parle is saying that please give us the kind of help we need so that we can keep manufacturing biscuits. It's required in this time. E-tailers like Big Basket, Grofers, etc. found their delivery boys and delivery people being stopped at every nook and corner. Flipkart suspended operations. They've begun this evening, though after assurances from local police stations. So we're going to have to draw the line. We're going to have to draw the line between, keeping everyone inside. I think a lot of people have understood the seriousness of the matter, and allowing people who have essential roles to do their job. And that really is the big story this evening that we're talking about on the India Development Debate. Before I delve into those details, just a quick heads up on what we have lined up for you. The markets are in the green. What do the bulls know that the rest of us don't? Why the optimism? We'll be touching upon that ahead in the show. I also will have with me former Finance Minister P. Chidambaram in an IDD Direct, talking to me about his 10-step plan that he's put forth to ensure that we go through this transition phase smoothly. I'll be quizzing him about that plan and what can be done to make sure that the boat is not rocked on the economy. And ahead on the show, we're also talking about your mental health. Are you feeling the corona blues, feeling a little down and out at the idea of being locked up for the next 3 weeks? Well, here's how you should cheer yourself up. We'll be talking to two mental health experts ahead in the show as well. So before we get to all of that, let me begin by getting you some ground reports through the day. This is from Mumbai city, where in two very different parts of the city, we saw people still crowding around grocery stores and pharmacies, not really sure what would happen to the supplies.
Well, that's right. We're standing outside a Reliance Mart store here in Kharghar, Navi Mumbai. What we've been told by the authorities is that this is the only store that has been allowed to stay open in Kharghar today to better manage the crowd that had gathered outside the stores in the morning after Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister, announced a 21-day lockdown for the entire nation. What we've been told is that a coupon or a token system has been put in place here. At a time, only 50 tokens are being issued and only 50 people are being allowed inside the store. Once those people come out, more tokens are being issued. So all of the crowd that had gathered outside has been sent back home by the police authorities that have been manning these stores. They've been asked to come back at 12 o'clock when new tokens will be issued. But just to give you an understanding of what is happening, you can see not a lot of crowd here. So I think the crowd, especially here in Kharghar, is being controlled properly. This is the only store that I've been told is open, but we will go out and we will check if there are any other small grocery stores in neighborhood areas that are open, and how those particular stores are managing to control the crowd.
So at this point of time, I am right now on the highway which leads to Dahisar, and I'm on my way. I was on my way for there and trying to report about the situation, the supplies and all the trucks which are coming into the Cheknaka. When I reach the location when there is that check naka, and when the policeman stopped me, and I told them that I am from the media and I had my ID card right in my pocket. Despite showing my ID card, they asked me to hang the ID card, and I told them that I do not have something which I can hang with. Without really questioning, the police started beating me with the sticks. I was alone on my motorcycle trying to report on my mobile kit, and it was almost a couple of times it happened that all the 3-4 policemen really gathered above me. I had no other option but to move out of that place. It's right 1 kilometer away from here. So clearly there's been a lot of checking, but it's not only me. I've seen a lot of policemen really raising sticks on other people as well, and at times without really asking. And I've been hurt on my hand and the back, but that's the situation right here when it comes to the Isar Check Naka. While we were reporting, and it was clearly mentioned that reporters and media professionals are exempted from this clampdown when you speak about the lockdown. But unfortunately, the Mumbai police doesn't seem to be cooperating a lot with the media people.
Okay, so through the day, we've heard about stories of key personnel not being able to make it so that, supplies can be in place. The authorities did take cognizance of it by evening, and we know that there are a series of meetings going on between local police personnel and these companies to make sure that, the ship is sailing smoothly, because if there is a feeling that supplies will run short, then panic will escalate, which is the last thing we need. So to talk about the supply side issues, I'm joined now by Kumar Rajagopalan. He's CEO of the Retailers Association of India. I'm talking today to Bikram Singh Bedi, who's President Strategy and New Initiatives at Grofers, which is an online supermarket. And Siraj Hussain, a former Agricultural Secretary, Government of India, also joins me on the show. Welcome to all of you, and thank you for speaking with us today. Mr. Rajagopalan, give me a sense of whether the situation has improved and why grocery stores are finding it difficult, because we've been told again and again that there is no shortage of supply of material. There's no shortage of produce. Is it the supply chain that is the issue?
No, I think the main issue that needs to be tackled here is how does that individual policeman really ensure that the supplies are coming in, the people who are running the store are allowed to come in, etc. Now, we've had issues at various places across the country on this. I think this is the first day after the Prime Minister announced a nationwide need for people to be in the lockdown. Now, this is not something very normal for all of us. And I believe that the local policeman who is supposed to ensure that people do not really flout the scheme is not able to segregate between a person who is supposed to come in and deliver an item, a person who is supposed to come in and open a store, and people who are jaywalking. I think that's where we are landing into situations. We will need lots more clarity in the minds of the local policemen. The Prime Minister is very clear, the Centre is very clear. We've had a very nice meeting with the Home Ministry today. The DPIIT has really facilitated this. The states are okay with it. The Chief Minister is okay. But what about that single policeman? Is he aware? Does he know whom to allow, whom not to allow? And this is where the big issue is currently across the country. It's not necessarily 1 or 2 places.
No, but how will you sort this out, Mr. Rajagopalan? What are the kind of assurances you have got? Because at the end of the day, it is that policeman who also is doing a great job right now. It is not easy for policemen to be out there. So having said that, they need to really not wield their lathis at the first instance, like they have been doing in many cases today. But how will you sort this out? Will there be special passes issued? What if those passes do not reach everyone required in time? How will there be a clear solution as to who should be allowed to be out and who not?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I think the devil is in the details there. And when this whole thing started, that was the big worry that we had, and it's kind of come out. I mean, I was talking to the media even about 15 days before, when there was a thought that something like this could happen. And I said, while everybody would have right intentions, the problem is going to be at that one particular instance, at that one particular place. And that's what has come out now. There are passes getting issued in other parts of the country. Delhi has tried some amount of passes. It's also got its own amount of issues, but we've had a good meeting with the municipal commissioner and the police commissioner there in Delhi today. Some of them is getting sorted out, but other parts of the country, various other schemes are coming through. I think it's a matter of another few days before things get another 1 or 2 days at the most before things get sorted out. We've had a very good assurance in Mumbai that if people have their I-cards and they are able to show that this is part of the essential services, they'll let go. We'll have to wait and watch. We are insisting that passes be made. We are also saying that as RAI and various members of RAI, we would be able to issue passes. Our members should be able to issue passes. Our suppliers, large suppliers, can issue passes also if there is a procedure there. We'll have to wait and watch, and I'm sure it's being faced by delivery people, it's being faced by the store personnel, it is being faced by people who are supposed to do home delivery. So another day, I think, is the way we have to look at it.
Yeah, no, so the assurances are great, but you're talking about Mumbai, where we have seen one of my colleagues actually being pushed around and hit by lathis by the police while on duty despite having an I-card. So we're going to have to temper this. We cannot just indiscriminately start pushing people away. It is for people's health that they need to be at home. They're not necessarily out there just for jaywalking, and we have to know how to make that distinction. I want to get to Mr. Bedi over here. Mr. Bedi, just give us a sense of the capacity of players like yourselves, when the situation started heating up, it was still the local kirana store which was at least able to supply to some extent. Players like yourselves, I think, immediately found themselves overwhelmed. What is happening at your end?
So a couple of things, Tamanna. Firstly, yes, people have kind of reached out and tried to, buy or hoard. So our first advice to all our customers is do not hoard. There are enough supplies. There are, enough supplies in the warehouses as well as in the supply lines. So do not hoard. Secondly, try and use digital currency so that it's good for the, for the safety of the executive delivering to you as well as yourself. We've just started, zero touch deliveries. So there's a lot of that we're trying to do in terms of assuring the customers that it's okay, supplies are not running out. I think largely from a e-groceries perspective, it's been a couple of challenging days. Having said that, I would say we are in unprecedented waters. This is uncharted territory. And to lock down a country like India and expect everything will go smoothly within the first couple of hours is not going to be a reality. So we are working very closely with the administrations. In fact, it's been very productive across all of today, yesterday. Delhi's already issued passes, Gurgaon, number of states in Haryana. They work very proactively with us. I believe Bangalore is also issuing passes. So I think the situation is resolving itself. It'll take a couple of days, to solve things out and streamline operations. As far as capacity is concerned, I can tell you there's enough supply, and we can supply. Right now we have a backlog of about 4 lakh orders, which have been rescheduled because of the current hiccup in operations. So there's enough supply and there's good capacity to get that supply to customers.
Fantastic. Siraj, Hussain, just in terms of supply, and I think we've heard this before, but we need that reiteration that India has enough. We have enough produce to see us through these 21 days. Can we be completely sure of that?
Yes, I do not think there is going to be any great problem or challenge about the availability of most of the food items. However, it is not only the availability in the warehouses. The material has to reach the consumer. And for ensuring that, there are several important players in the value chain who have to be taken on board. Now, what has happened is before this all India curfew kind of thing was announced, various ministries have been issuing orders. So For example, the Department of Consumer Affairs issued certain orders, the Department of Industrial Policy Promotion issued some orders, Ministry of Health issued some orders, etc. In addition to that, several state governments have been issuing orders. The confusion is what is essential. Everybody has said in the order that essential supplies will be maintained, but essential is not defined in the Essential Commodities Act. So in an article today, I've written that the Ministry of Home Affairs should immediately clarify to the state governments that food is what is defined in the Food Safety and Standards Authority Act. Now, if that is done, then everybody down the line, up to the last policeman, from the farmer's field to the mandi, to the warehouse, and through the supply chain to the retailer, everybody will have to be brought on board. One last thing, in 1943, as Professor Hussain has documented very ably, of course, he's not flavor of the day right now, flavor of the regime, but he had written very clearly that it was not the availability which killed millions of people in Bengal. It was the purchasing power. So in addition to making food available, the government has to ensure that people have sufficient purchasing power to buy that food.
And in fact, purchasing power is something we're going to talk about ahead on the show when I will be speaking with former Finance Minister P. Chidambaram as well. I will have to wrap it here though. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us on the first big story on India Development Debate this evening. Well, very interesting day in the markets today. So while a lot of negativity, fear, anxiety today, but the bulls came bouncing back, roaring, in fact, suppressing the bears. Single biggest gain in 11 years in the markets. Nifty gained over 6.5%. The Sensex jumped over 1,800 points. So what really is going on? Nikunj Dalmia joining me with more. Nikunj, what's the secret that the markets have discovered? Why all the green today?
You know, the interesting bit today, frankly, if you ask me, is that we did not react to the lockdown news. That is very, very important for me to point out. I think somewhere Indian markets for a change decided to align with global cues. Global cues have been strong. Global cues have been strong largely because US markets are getting more and more convinced that the Fed policy action is likely to continue, and the Fed policy action is something which is going to stem the calm, at least for the markets in the short term. So that early morning advantage was there. That is something which I guess acted really as a booster, which really prevented the market from a free fall. So while world was up 10%, Asia on an average was up 5 to 7%. Indian markets, they started flat. We did see a lot of volatility. We had a moments when markets slipped into the red, but then I guess a lot of institutional activity kicked in. A lot of market men I spoke to, they had a very contra opinion to share, and the contra opinion was that now markets pretty much know that what will happen to coronavirus. The long-term investors also are of the view that Indian government will be able to manage the impact of the coronavirus, which is that even though India has a large population, given that we are now in a lockdown and we are likely to maintain social distancing, the collateral damage because of the virus may not happen. And then also there is a view in the market that all other central governments have acted, Indian government has not acted. That means that an economic package, hopefully something for the market, what Nantara was reporting in the morning, if those two factors they kick in, I guess Indian markets could see some better days ahead. But I don't want to be in a hurry to say that we've seen a classic bottom. I think, you know, you have to take each day as it comes. And if you frankly are asking me what should one do, I guess it's time to start. It's time to press the start button, but you need to do in a slow mode. I think it's time for all of us to think that how can you convert this crisis into an opportunity, and the only way to do that is you stick to your asset allocation, take each day as it comes. Today was a good day. As we speak, US markets are looking strong, so let's hope that tomorrow morning also we see a shade of green on the markets.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Nikunj.